So, the reviews of the iPhone XS and XS Max are rolling in, and we have the iPhone XR to look forward to. Bit of an update on that. In my prior video, I mentioned that I was probably going to get the blue one. Now I'm sort of thinking about white. In fact, I've actually got a list of colors, and I think, and obviously, what I'm planning on doing is upgrading at Christmas, so this could change. But at the moment, I'm thinking the color order is going to go white. And if they don't have that, then blue. And if they don't have either of those, then yellow. And if they don't have either of those, then probably, I don't know, coral or product red. That, again, that's like my fourth or fifth choice. But basically, so we've got that to look forward to. And we've also got the up-and-coming Apple event to look forward to. Now, for those of you who do not know, I've got a first-generation iPad Pro, and I just recently put iOS 12 on it. It's a wonderful way to practice your iPhone X gestures if you're thinking about getting an iPhone X series device, as I am. But at the same time, I find it a little bit strange because I'm getting used to this new swipe up to go home, quarter of the way up for home, halfway up for the app switcher, and swiping down from the top to get to my notifications at halfway and control center for a quarter of the way down from the top. And each of those is noted by a series of tones, which is easy to get used to. I've got no problems with it. But the reason I say it's odd is because you've still got the home button. I've also got a first generation iPad Pro keyboard cover with it. That keyboard cover has seen a lot of use over the last 3 years. So much so that it kind of reminds me of my old MacBook and my old my G4 iMac, because the keys are rubbing off. They are literally rubbing off. There was also an incident, I think last week, when two of the keys on the keyboard decided to stop working right in the middle of class. So what I had to do was I had to flip everything around and switch over to Braille screen input. So yeah, that was an interesting experience. In the 3 years that I've had the iPad Pro, I've had not a single slowdown. Everything is just as smooth and buttery as it used to be. But it's out of warranty. And if something happens, ew. So one of the things that I do enjoy about the iPad Pro is its accessibility. About a year or two ago, I think I mentioned, I said that I wasn't sure if I was going to buy another one. Given what I'm facing with my vision, like I'm sitting in the front row of the classroom and I still can't read the board. And this time last year, it would have been a different story. So I'm playing it overly cautious and safe. And what I've been doing is I've been taking notes using an accessible note-taking app called VoiceStream Writer. For those of you who do not know, it is a very robust editing tool specifically designed for the blind and visually impaired, that has special markups you can do to make the files appear more like an HTML or DAISY accessible formatted document, which makes it a lot easier to navigate. But I've noticed that I've gone from like a 60 to a 70 in the last month or so of my print sizes. So yeah, there's definitely a change going on. But what I've been doing is I've basically been switching the screen curtain on, and I've got this mono earpiece that I got from Amazon for $20, and I've been using speech to take my notes. Because the classroom that I'm in, there's so much glare because of the fluorescent lights that it just drives me nuts. In fact, this evening after, I've got 2 3-hour classes back to back, and one of them I actually had to put my sunglasses on. So, but no, so the iPad Pro, I just love it for its accessibility. I love the quad stereo speakers. I love the built-in keyboard cover. Although I do not like the fact that it is so dang loud. Tonight I had the device on my lap as I was rotating around to work with a group on something. And the thing, I couldn't believe how loud it was. It's been so long since I've typed with it in my lap that I totally forgot. So overall, though, the iPad Pro is definitely a must-have package as far as I'm concerned, a wonderfully accessible computer. And that brings us to the rumors. This is supposedly the 2018 iPad. Now, so far we've got rumors of Face ID and rumors of USB-C, and also they're going to see about rotating the smart connector. Now, I don't know what to think of that. I don't know what to expect from that. But I'm hoping that if they do something different with the smart connector, they're going to be introducing a brand new smart keyboard, something that is honestly not so dang loud. Now, USB-C should be interesting because if they build in the necessary tweaks to the Files application, you might be able to access a USB-C thumb drive. Now, that would be a first for an iPad, and that would be honestly something that I think would be totally cool. Now, a lot of people are thinking that these are going to be a bit more expensive. I wouldn't be surprised if they were. But consider your use case. I myself, except for very few things like recording these videos, I don't really use my iMac near as much as I used to when I first got it. Over the years, I've been primarily using my phone for a lot of things. And in fact, I might decide to go and start creating videos on my phone exclusively once I get the XR. I don't know. I just don't know. I keep thinking that things are changing and they're changing fast. So the iPad Pro, edge-to-edge screen design. Now, originally, a lot of people were thinking about this device having a notch, like the iPhone 10, 10s, 10s Max, and 10R, along with a slew of Android phones. I don't think that's going to happen. Supposedly, they're going to get Face ID to work in a horizontal orientation, and in order for that to happen, we're going to need to have some sort of uniformity around the bezel. But I do know that the home button, that the Face ID and the home button's axing are confirmed because of what I'm experiencing on iOS 12 on my iPad Pro. Personally, if I were to get one of these, it would probably be the 11-inch. It's not too much of a screen reduction, and if they do the edge-to-edge design, it would be a much more compact package. It's actually one of the reasons that I'm also looking forward to the XR. Bigger screen, more compact package. So in addition to the iPad Pro, they're supposedly going to be refreshing the MacBook. Now at the moment, the MacBook, what to say about the MacBook? I personally don't own one, and I've been on the fence as to whether or not I would get one, and I'll explain why in a moment. I've had plenty of time to play with them in person. I just don't know. I honestly don't know what I think of them. You know, the original one, the webcam was so bad that, and it's like, I don't know. I don't know. The MacBook is sort of an oddball, especially with the MacBook Air and the MacBook Pro in the lineup, well, particularly the MacBook Air. So supposedly this newly redesigned MacBook is actually going to be a MacBook Air replacement. It's supposed to be the rumor. There's talk of a new processor called Whiskey Lake by Intel, and I have absolutely no idea what the attributes of that processor are, or if Apple's going to decide to use them. So one of the things that I personally think they should do with the new MacBook is bring back colors. Now, yes, the current MacBook lineup you can get in silver, gold, and space gray. Okay. But let's look at the iPhone XR. You've got coral, black, red, yellow, white, and blue. Now, I personally think that it would be really cool to see a lineup of Mac computers with that same sort of color scheme. The original iBook was available in tangerine, blueberry, lime, and I don't know what some of these others are. But I just love the design. It's really bright. It's polycarbonate plastic, sort of a silvery white. It's just fun. It's just fun. It's like the iPhone XR I mentioned in the prior video. I just think that that's going to be a lot of fun because of the colors. And I think that if they're going to introduce a MacBook Air, a lower cost computer, by all means, bring back the colors and bring back the wind-up power brick. For those of you who do not know, I grew up with these in school. I grew up with the original iBook in school. And one of the really cool things that it had was a retractable power cord. This is a retractable USB to mini USB, so I can pull on it, give it a little slack, and it retracts. Okay? This is the sort of design I would like to see in the Apple power adapters. I honestly think that that was one of the best things that they ever did, and when they killed that with the second generation iBook, I was honestly, I wasn't happy. But no, bring back the colors. That would be so much fun. I honestly think that would be so cool. Supposedly, the Mac Mini is going to get an update. Now the Mac Mini, I honestly haven't heard anything about that for years. The last time I saw one was during my master's thesis back in 2013. I mean, wow. This thing is still in the market. So now supposedly they're going to upgrade it for pro audiences. I don't know. I genuinely do not know what to think about this. The Mac Mini, I mean, it's been neglected for so long, and supposedly if they're going to update it for pro use, okay. But where is this thing? Where is it slotting? Where is it going to go in the lineup? I mean, you've got the iMac Pro, you've got the Mac Pro, and now you're going to have the Mac Mini Pro? I don't know. I'm confused. I'm genuinely very confused. I will say that I'm personally not looking to upgrade to another Macintosh. And I'll show you why. So right now, I've got a late 2013 iMac that I've had since 2015. Now the machine has actually done very well. Granted, it's gotten slower to start up over the years, but once it starts up, it's very zippy. VoiceOver behaves beautifully. I've got no problems with it. I've not had a single kernel panic on the system. It's handled every single OS update with ease, with the exception of this crazy box thing, which seems to have apparently resized itself again. For those of you who do not know, I use Zoom Text for the Mac, which is this software that turns everything white. and turns the highlight around the menu. It's got that red box. Apparently, when I updated to Sierra, or I should say High Sierra, excuse me, when I updated to High Sierra, this box appeared as a side effect with Zoom Text. Zoom Text is no longer developed by the company, so I'm kind of stuck. So we'll have to see what happens with the Mojave. Maybe Mojave will get this to go away. Either that or it'll crash Zoom Text completely, at which point I may have to go completely to VoiceOver, because I don't think the built-in magnifier compared to Zoom Text honestly is not, the quality just isn't that good. But the point is, I've got an iMac and it's perfectly usable. And what I was thinking about doing was, rather than spending a couple thousand on a new Mac, I've got a first generation Magic Trackpad, but that thing is, I've had it for the last 6 or 7 years and it is oily. It's also lost, as in it's somewhere in this room that I'm sitting in right now, but I do not know where, and it's got dead batteries in it. So I'm going to need to find them before they start leaking. But I'm just thinking about just maybe doling out the money for a second-gen Magic Trackpad, because number one, much bigger surface area. Number two, I get the Trackpad Commander, which basically turns the Macintosh into an iPhone because of the replicated gestures in VoiceOver. And number three, no need to worry about batteries. Number four, most importantly, it's a lot cheaper. It's $150 versus $1,000. What would you do? You know, especially if you're in the need for a new phone. And for those of you who are sighted that might be watching this, you guys would probably be thinking, well, my phone, I need my phone, to connect to Facebook and do my work. As somebody who is partially blind, we need the phone even more because of what? Because of relying on other people, whether it be it Uber or paratransit or relatives or friends, for transportation. And we need that phone at a moment's notice to be able to get transportation, check on transportation. And in the case of the new SOS feature and the new 911 precise location features of iOS 12 and the iPhone 10 series, it's also a safety measure. So, yeah, I just think that the trackpad would be a considerably better investment than a new Mac. Now, a lot of people were kind of meh about the iPhone keynote because there really wasn't much of a surprise. I was surprised by the colors of the iPhone XR and also by the fact that it came in several colors. I just loved that. But there wasn't really a quote-unquote surprise one more thing. Well, I've got an idea for a one more thing. And that is something you might not expect. The iPod Touch. I'll let that sink in for a moment. Yes, I did just say the iPod Touch. Now, the iPod Touch is in its 6th generation and hasn't been updated for several years. I'm planning on getting one as a Christmas gift for someone because I want them to be familiar with the VoiceOver screen reader in case they may need to show me apps. Okay? Now, my concern is the iPod Touch has an A8 on board, and it does not. Look at it. It's still got the iPhone 5S and SE design, which incidentally the iPhone SE was discontinued. So does that mean they're going to discontinue the iPod Touch? The last thing I would want is for somebody to get this, and then a year later it can't be updated, and it's basically a dead paperweight. Because as apps continue to move on and operating systems continue to move on, eventually it's going to become obsolete. whereas Apple overall has had a track record of the last several years of supporting devices for a very long time. So I don't know. I genuinely don't know. I would like to see a redesigned iPod Touch, perhaps in the style of the iPhone 10. Now you're thinking, well, who would want that? Well, let's consider an audience of people who may not be able to for financial reasons or may not desire to. They want the perhaps they want the Apple ecosystem, but they don't necessarily want to dole out the cash for an iPhone because they're happy with their flip phone. You know, I think that Apple should redesign the iPod Touch one more time. Make it similar to the iPhone 10. You can leave out Face ID if you want to. That doesn't bother me one bit if you do that on the iPod Touch. But I just think that serving this market would definitely be a plus, because nowadays, thanks to the lack of contract in phone providers, there is no quote-unquote free phone unless you're willing to go back several years. Apple's iPhone 7 is around $400. Okay, so if you want something free, the last truly free iPhone I think was the iPhone SE, and before that the 5C. So, and that's again on contract. So I honestly think that the one more thing should definitely be the 5C. I'm very interested in seeing what they do with the iPad Pro, but the Max, the iMacs, or the iBooks, oh, one more thing. That reminds me, I did forget to talk about something with the MacBook. Hold on. So, I think it would be cool if they reintroduced the name iBook, because consider this. iOS 12, they've removed the name iBooks, and it's just now called Apple Books. What if they decided to, in addition to these crazy colors, reintroduce the iBook nameplate? So yeah, so definitely iPad Pro I'm looking forward to. The Macs, I'm honestly a little iffy on, especially the Mac Mini. I don't know what to think. Especially because, like I said, I've got a perfectly workable iMac aside from the slow boot. It's honestly behaving really well. And I figure if I want to get the touch gestures in VoiceOver, I'll just get a Magic Trackpad instead. And I do think that it would be interesting to see the iPod Touch have one last hurrah before it heads off into the sunset. But so yeah, that's basically what I'm thinking about this next Apple event. But what do you guys think? Thank you for watching. Comments are welcome, and have a nice day.